The Awakening, the Discovery, the exploration vessel Distant Horizon, cut through the black expanse of space like a needle through silk. Captain Thrace, a crystalline being whose body refracted light in patterns that indicated her mood, stood before the main viewport. Her crew of 12 represented 5 different species, all part of the Galactic Survey Initiative. Their mission was simple: catalog unexplored regions and report anything unusual. Today, they had found something very unusual indeed. Navigator Krell adjusted his sensor array with 3 of his tentacles while manipulating the display controls with 2 others. The aquatic being's translation device converted his bioluminescent flashes into standard galactic speech. Captain, the gravitational anomalies are getting stronger. Whatever is out there, it is massive. Multiple massive objects, actually. Thrace's body shifted from calm blue to interested purple. How many objects are we detecting? At first count, maybe 200. Now 300. Captain, there is an entire graveyard of enormous structures hidden in this nebula. The readings suggest they have been here for an extremely long time. The distant horizon moved deeper into the stellar cloud. Ancient cosmic dust parted before their scanning beams, revealing shapes that should not exist. Metal constructs, each one larger than any modern space station. They were warships, but designed with an aesthetic that predated any known civilization. Sharp angles, aggressive profiles, and weapon systems that made even Thrace's peaceful nature recognize their deadly purpose. Science Officer Mira, a mammalian species with fur that changed color based on temperature, ran her analysis programs 3 times before speaking. Captain, the metallurgical composition of these vessels does not match anything in our database. The decay patterns suggest an age of approximately 1.2 million years. The bridge fell silent. 1 million years was longer than recorded galactic history. The oldest known civilization, the predecessors, had disappeared 800,000 years ago, leaving only ruins and questions. These ships were even older than that. Krell's body pulsed with excitement. Captain, I am detecting an energy signature. It is faint, but it is there. One of the vessels still has active power systems. That is impossible, Mira said. No power source could remain functional for that duration. Nevertheless, the readings are confirmed. Something inside the largest vessel is still operating. First Contact Thrace made the decision that would change galactic history. Prepare a boarding team. We investigate the active vessel. The boarding shuttle approached the massive warship carefully. Up close, the scale became overwhelming. The vessel stretched for kilometers, its hull scarred with damage from weapons that no longer existed. Near what appeared to be a main airlock, symbols were etched into the metal. The translation computers analyzed them, searching through every known language database. No match found. The airlock responded to their presence, ancient mechanisms grinding to life after eons of sleep. The door opened slowly, revealing a corridor beyond. The boarding team entered with caution. Emergency lighting flickered on ahead of them, as if the ship itself was guiding them forward. They moved through passages that were clearly designed for bipedal beings. The layout was logical, almost familiar, yet entirely alien. Everything was labeled with the unknown symbols, but the purpose of each room was clear through context. Mira checked her scanner. The air is becoming breathable. The ship is activating its life support systems. Why would it do that? Because it knows we are here, Thrace said quietly. This vessel is intelligent. It is waking up. They followed the energy signature to a massive chamber deep within the ship. The room was filled with hundreds of cylindrical pods arranged in precise rows. Most were dark and cold, their contents long dead. But in the center of the chamber, one pod glowed with pale blue light. Frost covered its transparent surface, but movement was visible inside. Krell moved closer, his tentacles trembling. There is a life form inside. Vital signs are present and strengthening. Captain, whatever is in there is alive. The pod began its opening sequence. Hydraulic systems that had not moved in 1,000,000 years groaned into action. Warm air hissed out, melting the accumulated ice. The figure inside took a sudden, gasping breath that echoed through the chamber. The survivor Commander Marcus Cole sat up quickly, his training overriding the disorientation of waking from stasis. His eyes swept the chamber, taking in the alien beings, staring at him with equal parts fear and fascination. He wore a dark gray uniform with insignia that meant nothing to the current galaxy. His appearance was lean and functional, with short dark hair and eyes that held the hardness of a soldier who had seen too much combat. He spoke, but the words were incomprehensible to the boarding team. An ancient language, unrecorded and forgotten. Thrace activated her universal translator, setting it to learning mode. Marcus kept speaking, his voice growing stronger. Questions, demands, status reports about people and places that no longer existed. The translator began to assemble meaning from context and pattern. Report. Where is Fleet Admiral Chun? What is the status of Operation Final Dawn? The Scourge, have they been contained? Thrace stepped forward, her crystalline body shifting to peaceful green. Please, stay calm. You are safe. My name is Captain Thrace of the Galactic Survey Initiative. Can you understand me? Marcus focused on her, confusion deepening on his face. Survey Initiative? What species are you? Where is my command staff? He tried to stand, stumbled, and caught himself against the pod. I need to contact Central Command immediately. The Scourge could return at any moment. What is your name? Thrace asked gently. What species are you? Marcus stared at her as if she had asked what color the sky was. Commander Marcus Cole, Terran Defense Fleet, 4th Battle Group. Species? Human. I am human. He pointed at the insignia on his uniform. Now tell me what is happening. Where is the rest of the fleet? The word sent shockwaves through every member of the boarding team. Human, the predecessors. The mythical species that had built wonders and vanished without explanation. The ancient civilization that every child learned about in history modules. The truth. That is not possible, Mira whispered. Humans have been extinct for nearly 1,000,000 years. Your species is legend. We study your ruins. We preserve your artifacts. You cannot be real. Marcus's face went pale. He looked around the chamber again, really seeing it for the first time. The decay, the damage, the dust of ages covering everything. Other pods began to open throughout the chamber. More humans were waking up, gasping for air and calling out to each other in their ancient language. How long? Marcus's voice was barely audible. How long were we asleep? Krell consulted his scanner. Based on stellar drift, cosmic radiation exposure, and metallurgical decay, approximately 1.2 million years. Marcus's legs gave out. He sank to the floor, staring at nothing. 1,000,000 years. Everyone was gone. Earth, humanity, everything he had fought to protect, all dust and memory. Around him, other humans were waking to the same devastating truth. Some wept, others sat in stunned silence. A few immediately began checking equipment and systems, falling back on training to cope with the impossible. Lieutenant Sarah Park was the first to reach Marcus. She was younger, with sharp features and eyes that refused to accept defeat even in the face of extinction. Commander, we need you. The crew needs orders. Marcus looked up at her, seeing the same shock and grief he felt reflected in her expression. But she was right. They were soldiers. They had a duty. He stood, steadying himself. Sound off. All personnel, report status by division. The humans began to organize themselves with military efficiency. Voices called out designations and positions. Engineering, medical, tactical, navigation. They were taking stock of who had survived. Thrace watched in amazement as the ancient initiated. Humans transformed their grief into action within minutes. These were warriors, trained and disciplined, even after 1,000,000 years of sleep. Marcus turned to face her. Captain Thrace, I need information. What is the current political situation in this region? Who controls this space? The Galactic Council, Thrace explained. 49 species working together for mutual defense and cooperation. This entire sector is Council-controlled space. 49 species, Marcus repeated. We had records of 12 intelligent species before the Scourge attacked. You have been busy. The revelation over the next hours, Thrace's crew shared what they knew. They showed Marcus historical records, archaeological findings, and the museums dedicated to human achievements. Marcus watched in silence as current galactic species studied human ruins like ancient Rome. They had theories about why humanity disappeared. Some believed humans ascended to higher consciousness. Others thought they migrated to distant galaxies. None knew the truth. Images of Earth appeared on the displays. The continents had shifted dramatically. Oceans were different colors. But it was still recognizably home, still orbiting the same sun. The Galactic Council had declared it a protected heritage site. No one was allowed to disturb it. Marcus studied the images with an expression Thrace could not read. My home, still there after everything. He looked at Thrace. I want to see it. I need to know what happened to my people. The request caused immediate complications. The humans had more military power in their single ancient fleet than the entire Council Defense Force. If they were hostile, if they wanted Earth back, there could be war. But Marcus's next words surprised everyone. We claim no territory, he said firmly. We are soldiers without a nation. Our war ended 1,000,000 years ago. We simply want to understand what happened. That is all we ask. After intense debate, the Council agreed. The human fleet would travel to Earth under Council escort. The journey would take 2 weeks at current speeds. During that time, Marcus spent hours in the ship's archives with the vessel's artificial intelligence. The AI called itself Athena, a holographic presence that had maintained the fleet for over 1,000,000 years. She showed him everything about the war with the Scourge, the desperate battles, the planets that burned. Marcus learned that humanity had won their war, but at a terrible cost. 90% of human worlds had been consumed. Earth survived, but was devastated, reduced to less than 1 billion people. For 10,000 years, humanity rebuilt. Then, 900,000 years ago, all records stopped. Humanity simply vanished from normal space. Marcus watched historical files, seeing his species slowly recover from near extinction, only to disappear mysteriously. It was almost more painful than learning about the original catastrophe. Journey to Earth. The human fleet moved through space like a school of ancient predators. 300 warships, each one a masterpiece of forgotten engineering. Council vessels escorted them, tiny by comparison, nervous about the power they were guiding to humanity's homeworld. Lieutenant Park found Marcus in the observation deck, staring at the stars. Commander, the crew is asking questions. What happens when we reach Earth? What are we supposed to do now? Marcus did not answer immediately. What do you do when you are the last of your kind? When everyone you fought for is gone? We find a new purpose, he finally said. We survived for a reason, Sarah. Maybe it is to make sure what happened to humanity does not happen to these new species. You think the Scourge could return? It is possible. That is why we entered stasis. We were insurance, a last resort if the dimensional rifts ever reopened. He turned to face her. If that threat is still out there, these people need us. They need what we know, They arrived at Earth to find it beautiful and strange. The continents had drifted significantly. Mountain ranges had risen and eroded. But there, on the surface, were ruins. Human cities preserved by the Galactic Council. New Geneva, Tokyo Orbital District, Alexandria Nova. Marcus took a shuttle down with a small group. They landed near what had once been the United Defense Headquarters. Now it was a memorial park, with aliens walking reverently through preserved streets. In the center stood a massive monument carved from a single piece of marble. An eternal flame burned before it. Words were inscribed in hundreds of languages, but the original text was in English. Here rest the dreams of humanity. They gave everything so that life could continue. They asked only to be remembered. We remember them. Marcus knelt before the monument, and for the first time since waking, he allowed himself to fully feel the weight of loss. His crew stood with him, sharing his grief. They had won their war, but lost everything else. The warning Thrace approached carefully. "Commander, there is something else you should see. We found human data archives buried deep in the planetary crust. They survived intact. In an underground facility that responded to human genetic signatures, they discovered the archives. Holographic recordings from 900,000 years ago. Messages from the last generation of humans. One message activated automatically when Marcus approached. An elderly human woman appeared, standing in what looked like a peaceful settlement. Others moved in the background, going about their daily lives. To whoever finds this, she said, we are the last physical generation of humanity. We won our war against the Scourge, but the price was our civilization. Too few remain to maintain our technology, our cities, our way of life. The woman's expression was peaceful despite her words. But we did not fail. We gave the galaxy a chance to grow without fear. And now we make a choice. We can fade slowly into extinction, or we can transform. The dimensional research from the war offers us a path to evolve beyond physical form, to become something new. She looked directly at the recording device. We leave this message so you will know we chose transformation, not death. We let the physical universe belong to those who come after us. But we leave guardians behind. Fleets sleeping in stasis, waiting. If you are human and watching this, it means the darkness has returned. You are humanity's promise kept. Fight well. The message ended. Marcus stood in silence, processing the revelation. Suddenly, urgent alarms blared. Park's voice came through his communicator, tense and afraid. Commander, long-range sensors have detected massive energy signatures at Sector 9. 3 Council battle groups investigated. They are gone, Marcus. 1,200 ships, just gone. Marcus felt ice in his veins. What kind of energy signatures? The computer matched them against our historical database. Commander, they are 98% consistent with Scourge biovessels. The ancient enemy had returned, and they were stronger than before. Marcus looked at the monument, at the promise carved in stone. Never again would life bow to darkness. Humanity had lost everything to keep that promise. He opened a channel to the entire fleet and to the Galactic Council simultaneously. 1,000,000 years ago, humanity made a vow. Never again would the darkness consume life. We lost our civilization, keeping that vow. We lost our world, our people, nearly everything. He straightened, soldiers' discipline overriding grief. But the 4th battle group survived. We survived so that when this moment came, we would be ready. The Scourge has returned, and they will discover that humanity still stands between them and all living things. He looked at his crew, his 3,000 survivors from a dead civilization. All ships, battle stations, Protocol Omega. We are going back to war. The human fleet turned as one, ancient engines powering up to full capacity. 300 warships that had fought and won against impossible odds, heading toward an enemy that had already destroyed everything the modern galaxy could field against them. Behind them, hundreds of Council vessels followed, not sure if they were witnessing humanity's return or marching toward their own extinction. But they followed anyway, because legends had awakened, and the galaxy was about to see if those legends were true. Asterisk, the rising darkness, the price of knowledge. Combined fleet traveled through hyperspace toward Sector 9. But Commander Marcus Cole knew they were already too late to save anyone there. The Scourge did not take prisoners. They consumed every living thing, every trace of biological material, converted into energy and biomass for their ever-growing swarm got in the strategy room aboard the flagship Eternal Vigilance. Marcus stood before a holographic display with Captain Thrace and representatives from a dozen Council species. They were watching recovered data from the final moments of the destroyed battle groups. The footage was nightmare fuel. The Scourge vessels appeared on screen, and several Council representatives recoiled in horror. The bioships were organic nightmares, twisted amalgamations of flesh and chitin, and things that should not exist in normal physics. They moved through space in ways that violated known laws, phasing partially into higher dimensions to avoid weapons fire, then solidifying to strike with devastating efficiency. They are different from our records, Marcus said quietly, studying the enemy tactics. They have adapted, evolved. Our historical data shows they needed 3 to 5 vessels to overwhelm a capital ship. These new forms are taking out entire battle groups with minimal losses. Lieutenant Park stood beside him, her expression grim. Commander, our weapons were designed to fight the Scourge we knew 1,000,000 years ago. If they have evolved this much, we might not have the advantage we hoped for. Marcus nodded slowly. Then we adapt too. That is what humans do. We learn, we improvise, we survive. Council fears Council Representative Vorath, a heavily armored insectoid being, clicked his mandibles nervously. Commander Cole, with respect, how can we be certain your fleet is capable of stopping this threat? The Scourge destroyed 3 of our most advanced battle groups in minutes. Your vessels, while impressive, are ancient technology. Asterisk Marcus turned to face the Council members. His expression was not angry, but it held a hardness that made them all take a step back. Representative, your species has known peace for how long? Vorath consulted his datapad. The Vorath people have experienced relative peace for approximately 50,000 years. Aside from minor border disputes. 50,000 years, Marcus repeated. My species fought the Scourge for 800 years. Not border skirmishes. Total war. Species-level extinction conflict. We lost 90% of our worlds. Billions died. And we won. He gestured at the holographic display. Your technology might be newer, but you have never faced true darkness. We have. We know how they think, how they fight, how they die. Trust me, we are the advantage you need. Asterisk. Thrace's crystalline body shifted to diplomatic gold. Commander Cole is correct. Human tactical doctrine from the war period shows engagement strategies far beyond current Council military thinking. We should defer to their expertise. But another Council member, a mammalian species named Kelvin, spoke up hesitantly. There is another concern. Commander, your fleet represents tremendous military power. Some Council members fear what happens after the Scourge is dealt with. Will humanity want to reclaim their territory? Will you demand Earth's return? The room fell silent. Every Council member wanted to know the answer, but had been too afraid to ask directly. Marcus looked at each of them in turn. Humanity is dead. We are ghosts. 3,000 survivors from a civilization that spanned 1,000 worlds. We claim nothing because we have nothing to claim. Your species inherited this galaxy fairly. We will help you protect it, and when the scourge is destroyed, we will decide our future. But I give you my word as a human officer. We seek no empire. We seek only purpose. The relief in the room was palpable. Marcus turned back to the tactical display. Now, let us discuss how to kill these things. First engagement. They reached Sector 9 to find devastation. 3 star systems were completely lifeless. The planets remained, but every trace of biological matter was gone. Oceans were empty. Forests were ash. Cities were perfect skeletons, with every living thing removed. Park checked her sensors, her voice tight with horror. Commander, the scourge consumed everything. Plants, animals, microorganisms, even organic compounds in the soil. These worlds are sterile. Marcus had seen this before, in his time, but the council species were experiencing it for the first time. They finally understood what extinction-level threat truly meant. Athena's holographic form appeared beside Marcus. Commander, I am detecting scourge energy signatures. They are still in this system, feeding. They are converting the biomass into more vessels. How many vessels? Marcus asked. Current count, 800 bioships. Composition varies, but I identify 17 capital-class entities. They are what we historically called harvesters. Thrace made a sound of distress. 800 ships? Commander, we have 300 human vessels and 400 council ships. We are outnumbered. Marcus smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Numbers do not mean victory. Strategy does. All ships, assume formation Delta 7. Target prioritization, harvesters first. They are the command entities. Kill them and the swarm loses coordination. The human fleet arranged itself in a pattern that confused the council vessels. It looked chaotic, but each ship knew exactly where to be. It was a formation designed through 800 years of bitter experience. The scourge detected them and responded. The bioships moved like a living organism, flowing through space toward the human fleet. They were fast, terrifyingly so, and their approach was accompanied by a psychic pressure that made several council crew members scream. They are in our minds, Krell reported from his station, his tentacles trembling. They are projecting fear, despair, inevitability of death. Athena activated countermeasures. Psychic dampeners online. All human vessels initiate neural shielding. Commander, I recommend council ships fall back to secondary positions. Their crews are not trained for psychic warfare. Marcus agreed. Council vessels move to support positions. Follow our targeting data, but stay behind our formation. Let us show you how this war is fought. The fleets engaged, and the council observers witnessed something they had never imagined. The human ships moved with precision that seemed impossible. They anticipated scourge movements before they happened, redirected fire with split-second timing, and coordinated attacks across hundreds of vessels without apparent communication. Park commanded, her division with cold efficiency. All weapons, concentrated fire on Harvester Alpha. Dimensional anchors activate on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. Blue energy lances shot from human ships, striking the massive harvester. But these were not simple weapons. They were dimensional anchors, devices that forced partially phased enemies back into normal space. The harvester solidified, suddenly vulnerable. Fire everything, Park ordered. 100 ships unleashed their full arsenals simultaneously. The harvester exploded in a burst of biological matter and energy. And immediately, a section of the scourge swarm lost coordination. Milling about in confusion, Marcus watched with satisfaction. That is their weakness. They are a hive mind, but it requires anchor points. Kill the anchors, and the swarm becomes stupid. All divisions, priority targeting on remaining harvesters. Coordinated assault pattern Beta 9. The battle became methodical slaughter. Human ships danced through the Scourge swarm, avoiding attacks that should have been unavoidable, striking targets with uncanny accuracy. One by one, the harvesters died, and with each death, more of the swarm lost cohesion. But the Scourge were learning. Marcus saw it happening in real time. They adapted their tactics, spread their harvesters farther apart, tried to overwhelm individual human ships with numbers. Convey succeeded. "We are taking losses," Park reported. "The destroyer Prometheus is gone. The frigate Endurance is critically damaged and evacuating crew." Marcus felt each loss like a physical blow. Every human death was irreplaceable. They had no reinforcements, no home to send recruits from. Once they were gone, they were truly extinct. "Commander, the Scourge are retreating," Athena announced. "They are opening dimensional portals and withdrawing." Marcus wanted to pursue, but he knew better. Let them go. We cannot afford a prolonged engagement. All ships, damage report. The casualties were grim. 15 human vessels destroyed, 8 more heavily damaged. 200 humans dead. They had killed over 500 Scourge ships, but it felt like a hollow victory. Thrace approached Marcus, her crystalline body showing colors of respect and grief. "Commander, what you accomplished today was extraordinary. We would have lost everything without your fleet." We lost 200 people today," Marcus said quietly. 200 irreplaceable humans. "There are only 3,000 of us in the entire universe, Captain. Every loss is catastrophic." "But I understand," Thrace said gently. "Commander, the Council wants to meet with you. They want to discuss strategy, resources, possibly reactivating human weapons facilities, ghosts and guardians." The emergency council session took place aboard the massive council station, Horizon's Gate. Marcus stood before representatives of 49 species, painfully aware that he was likely the first living human most of them had ever seen. Council Leader Meridian, a being of pure energy contained in a sophisticated field generator, spoke with a voice like musical chimes. "Commander Cole, the Council has seen what humanity can accomplish. We formally request a military alliance. We offer resources, manpower, and access to any technology or facilities you require." Marcus considered carefully before responding. "I accept your alliance, but I have conditions. First, we need access to human manufacturing facilities. There are automated shipyards in dead systems that might still function. We need to repair our fleet and possibly build new vessels. Second, I want full tactical command of all military operations against the Scourge. I will coordinate with Council military leaders, but final authority rests with me. Third, Earth remains a protected site. No one disturbs it. It is our grave and our memorial." The Council members conferred among themselves before Meridian responded. "Your conditions are accepted, Commander. We will provide coordinates to 3 known human manufacturing sites. The Council fleet will be placed under your operational command, and Earth will remain protected as a sacred heritage site." Marcus nodded. "And we have an alliance. Let us begin planning our defense." Over the following weeks, the combined forces worked to prepare. Human manufacturing sites were reactivated, and Council engineers studied human technology with awe. The designs were elegant and efficient, far beyond what current galaxy species could produce. "We can understand perhaps 30% of the underlying principles," Mira reported to Thrace. "The dimensional physics alone will take decades to fully comprehend. But we can repair existing human vessels and manufacture ammunition and supplies. Meanwhile, Marcus trained Council military commanders in anti-Scourge tactics. He was patient but demanding, pushing them to think in ways that violated their comfortable assumptions about warfare. "The Scourge do not negotiate," he explained during one session. "They do not retreat permanently. They do not value their individual units. They are entropy given form, existing only to consume and convert. You cannot reason with them. You cannot tire them. You can only destroy them completely. A council admiral, a reptilian species named Ceris, asked the question everyone wondered. Commander, how did humanity fight them for 800 years without going extinct? How did you maintain the will to continue? Marcus was silent for a long moment. We fought because the alternative was extinction. We maintained will because we had no choice. And we sacrificed everything, our culture, our art, our peaceful nature. We turned ourselves into warriors because that was the only way to survive. He looked at the assembled commanders. That is what I am trying to spare you from. If you can end this war quickly, with our help, maybe your species won't have to become what we became. Asterisk. The warning signs, but something was troubling Marcus. The scourge attacks were following a pattern, but it was not the same pattern from historical records. Lieutenant Park noticed it too. Commander, look at these attack vectors. They are not random. The scourge are moving deliberately towards something. Marcus studied the star charts, his expression darkening. They are moving toward the galactic core, toward the highest concentration of inhabited systems. Athena appeared, her holographic form showing concern. Commander, I have analyzed scourge behavior from our battle and from council reports. They are exhibiting intelligence far beyond what we faced 1,000,000 years ago. They are conducting reconnaissance, testing defenses, learning our capabilities before committing to major offensives. These are not mindless monsters, Marcus said. They never were. But this level of strategic thinking suggests they have evolved significantly. They might have a central intelligence now, something directing the entire species. That is terrifying, Park said quietly. How do we fight an enemy that thinks and adapts? We think faster, Marcus replied. We adapt better, and we hit them hard before they are ready. He opened a channel to all council military commanders. All forces, prepare for major offensive operations. We are taking the fight to the scourge. We find their staging areas, their breeding grounds, and we burn them out before they can fully mobilize. The plan was ambitious and dangerous. It meant going deep into scourge-controlled space with limited support and no possibility of retreat. But Marcus knew it was necessary. If they waited for the scourge to fully prepare, humanity's sacrifice 1,000,000 years ago would have been for nothing. Before the fleet departed, Marcus visited Earth one final time. He stood before the monument to unknown humanity, thinking about all they had lost and all they were fighting to protect. We are ghosts, he said quietly to the empty memorial. We are the past trying to protect the future. But maybe that is enough. Maybe being guardians is purpose enough dot behind him. His 3,000 surviving humans prepared for war. They were the last of their kind, ancient soldiers awakened in a strange new galaxy. But they were not alone anymore. 49 species stood with them, ready to face the darkness together. The human fleet departed from Earth orbit, heading toward scourge-controlled space. Ancient warships, 1,000,000-year-old weapons, and 3,000 humans who refused to let their species' sacrifice be forgotten. They were humanity's last gift to the galaxy, and they would fight until the darkness was gone, or they were. Commander Marcus Cole stood on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, watching the stars stream past. Somewhere out there, the scourge was waiting. But this time, humanity was not alone in the fight. This time, the entire galaxy stood together. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. The war was far from over. But humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk.